Hello, world. So here we go again, breaking news that Congress is talking about breaking up Facebook, Google, YouTube, and Twitter. And this is breaking news coming out right now because Facebook came out and said that they still were not going to allow Donald Trump to have any content on Facebook. Now, I guess from what I'm listening to this news broadcast, that Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube have all blocked Donald Trump from their platforms. And so now Congress is going to go after them and break them up. I mean, I'm a big YouTube person. I like YouTube. I don't agree with everything that goes on there as far as the videos they take down of certain people and stuff, because I believe in the Second Amendment and freedom of speech. As long as they're not putting stuff on there about harming people and stuff like that, I don't agree with that. But this is breaking news from Fox News. Congress now is going to go after all the platforms, and I don't know how this is going to affect my channel. And if you have a channel, I don't know how it's going to affect your channel, but it's not going to be good for us if Congress goes in and breaks up all these platforms, which I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask whether that's a good thing or bad thing. But anyway, let's get on with the news broadcast from Fox News and listen to what they have to say.
They don't have a monopoly.
So we have some breaking news, and you're on the air with us when it happens, okay? We expected this 11 minutes from now. Here we go. Facebook, the Oversight Board, will uphold the ban on Donald Trump. Your reaction?
Yeah, it's a sad day for America. It's a sad day for Facebook, because I can tell you a number of members of Congress are now looking at, do they break up Facebook? Do they make sure that they don't have a monopoly? And I can tell you that it is two different standards, one for Donald Trump and one for a number of other people that are on their sites and suggesting that more nefarious things than what the president has been accused of actually go unnoticed often. And so this is a sad day for America, but a sadder day for the Facebooks of the world who have actually enjoyed a very wild, wild west kind of regulatory environment. I can tell you that's going to change. The discussion will happen within hours of this decision on Capitol Hill, just a few blocks from where I am.
And so let me ask you then about legislation, right? Because you could almost get to bipartisan legislation, but for different reasons, right? Because, for example, Senator Elizabeth Warren wants regulations on big tech. And then you have someone like Senator Hawley, who also feels the same way. They could get to the same place, but for very different reasons. Could they get to the same result? And in this Congress under President Biden?
Well, I would suggest that it's not going to be regulation that they look at from a legislative standpoint. This is going to be a breakup of big tech. You know, when you look at Google and Facebook, they have more power over what we read and what we see than any in the media. We look at very critically at people buying TV stations to say that they shouldn't have a monopoly. And yet Google and Facebook and YouTube actually control much of what America sees, whether it's you and I talking right now and it gets reposted on any of those platforms. They have the ability to actually raise that profile or lower it. And so it is time that we break up big tech, not just regulate them.
I'm going to read this, okay, because here's the case summary, sir. The board upheld Facebook's decision that goes back to January 7, 2021, so that's the day after the riots on the Hill, to restrict then-President Donald Trump's access to posting content on his Facebook page and Instagram account. However, it was not appropriate for Facebook to impose the indeterminate and standardless penalty of an indefinite suspension. I'll come back to that. Facebook's normal penalties include removing the violating content, imposing a time-bound period of suspension, or permanently disabling the page and account. What do you think about the move the president made yesterday with his own way of communicating at Mar-a-Lago that can be repeated on Twitter or Facebook if people want to share that, while at the same point not taking comments from users who would be reading the videos that he posts on his page? And as you think about that, they're not saying forever.
Right, they're saying that you have 6 months.
So you wonder, did Zuckerberg make a Solomonic decision here?
Well, listen, whether it's 6 months or 6 days, what we see in this decision is really about chilling free speech. And the platform that the president put up yesterday is just step one of about a 4-step process to make sure that millions and hundreds of millions of people actually get to hear from their president. When you look at over 74 million people that voted for President Donald Trump, and to suggest that he should not have a voice. Today, there may be people on the left that are applauding that, but what if it goes and says, all right, we're going to make sure that Bernie Sanders doesn't have a voice. Listen, I'm all about making sure that everyone who wants to have a voice in the public square can do that, but we need to have some standards, and literally what we're seeing is they're not able to police themselves, and what they're doing is it's infringing on constitutional rights. They've gotten too big. It's time that they be broken up.
So just this is one thing that I've gotten from someone here. The Oversight Board upheld the decision to suspend, but they made it clear that a permanent ban, if they're going to make it permanent, that the company, Facebook, has to be more clear. They have to provide that clarity, and they're affording the company 6 months to provide that clarity. Now, this particular ban was specific to the riot. But do you think that private companies, sir, have the right under our Constitution to make decisions like this?
Well, they do have the right. I mean, obviously a platform has the right of what they're able to do, but they can't enjoy the benefits of one, being a monopoly, and two, of not having any litigation that comes against them for any type of discrimination or disparate impact that may result from that. And so a private company can do a lot of things, but what they shouldn't have is the protection of the federal government, which when these platforms were put up, there was not a content monitor. You had a contract. You had something that you actually did. And what they are finding now is that they become the social police for what is good and right. And we've seen it too many times where they're taking down posts, Facebook, YouTube, where they say, well, your reach is too great. We need to moderate that. And I can tell you that conservatives and those progressives will come together and find some unity on this particular issue. And you're right, for different reasons, but it's a perfect storm that will not bode well for the Facebooks and the YouTubes and Googles of the world.
Quick comment about the future. We're all trying to figure out what the president's going to do, whether or not he's going to run for office again. All the chatter seems to be that he's waiting on the midterm results of 2022. And if he can show that he endorses a lot of candidates and they're successful in those midterm races, perhaps he would get back in the fight for 2024. In the meantime, we've got the decision from Facebook. Don't know when that decision could be changed, if ever. Twitter says no way, is not going to happen. YouTube apparently is still dangling the possibility of changing or reversing itself. In your conversations with President Trump, where is he today on his own political future?
Well, I can tell you based on my conversations with him, and I don't work for the president. Obviously, we speak very often. It's not necessarily a wait until 2022. Some are advising him to do that. I can tell you he's fully engaged now about taking back the House and Senate in 2022. But really, it's about being fully engaged now. There will be rallies that will happen very soon. The vast majority of Americans want him to throw his hat back in the ring. And if I had to place a bet on it, I would say that he would do exactly that based on my conversations with him. But listen, what you'll see in the next 2 to 6 weeks is a ramp up of additional platforms where he's able to communicate once again and take his message to the American people.
You say rallies? When will that happen?
Yeah, there are discussions now about him actually going back out to have rallies and rally America for what it's all about, America first. Joe Biden is all about America last. It's about putting forth that contrast. We've not seen the last of Donald Trump as a candidate.
How far along are those discussions to go public with a rally again?
Well, Bill, I don't normally talk about my conversations with the president, so I'm not going to get into any specifics. I can tell you they're voluminous, and we've had a number of discussions. He and his team will decide when the best time for that to happen, but they're not just idle conversations. They're real discussions about when and where.
And is he going to plan to continue to weigh in on possible candidates for the 2022 election? I know the House Republicans feel like they're in a good position to be able to win back the House in 2022.
Well, we're in a very good position to win back the House in 2022. Part of that is because Donald Trump continues to loom large in the Republican conference. And we saw just the results in Texas just a few days ago, where the Trump-endorsed candidate came in #1 in a very large field. But it's more than that. It's the Biden policies that continue to lurch to the left that they want to make sure they keep more of their hard-working American taxpayer dollars in their pocket. And Joe Biden has gone on a spending spree that not only will affect their pocketbook, but the pocketbook of all Americans.
Mark Meadows, thank you for your time. A lot to go through. I hope you come back soon, okay?
Thank you.
'Cause we got a lot more on the list.
Great
All
to be with you.
Thank you.
Okay, so there you have it from the congressman in Congress. They're going to break up these companies. And what does that mean for us? I don't know. But if I hear anything else, I'll have another video. You guys have a fantastic day. Talk to you later.